This is more than a pretty landscape feature. It's a rain garden, a natural way to manage rainfall runoff and improve water quality. A rain garden captures runoff from roofs, driveways, streets, or compacted yards. Water captured in a rain garden pools and percolates down to the soil. It helps reduce runoff and protects water quality. Today, we'll take you through the installation of a rain garden at the Iowa Association of Municipal Utilities in Ankeny, Iowa. Our goal is to capture and infiltrate rooftop runoff from one of the downspouts on the shop building. We'll expand the rain garden in the future to capture and infiltrate additional downspout runoff. We started the process by doing some preliminary design calculations and then identified potential rain garden areas. The next step in the process was to determine if the soil had adequate percolation or perk rates. Soils investigations. The soils on site were already moist, so there was no need to pre-wet the areas. We used a combination of two field methods that included the ribbon test and percolation test to determine adequate percolation rates. We dug several holes and collected samples from beneath the proposed rain garden at 1 foot increments down to about 3.5 feet. The ribbon test. The ribbon test was performed on several samples. The results were somewhat variable as the soils in this area were highly disturbed during construction and contained a lot of backfill material. Some samples were high in clay content and others not. Some samples ribboned out to about 1 inch and others broke off less than 1 inch. The percolation test. The percolation test was then conducted on 2 holes. We had great help digging the holes. The results in both holes indicated the soils had a percolation rate of 1 inch per hour. Design calculations. The next step in the process was design calculations. Based on site characteristics and a request that we work around an ornamental grass, we came up with a rectangular-shaped rain garden. This design will allow us to further expand the rain garden into additional cells in the future. Construction of the rain garden. Sod removal. The first step in building the rain garden is removing the turf. You can use herbicides to kill the turf or a sod cutter. Herbicides will require you to wait several days for the turf to die. Since native plants were to be used in the rain garden, a chemical kill was preferred to ensure they wouldn't have to compete with turf coming back in the future. Excavating the area for the rain garden is made easier with some earth-moving equipment like a small backhoe. We removed the sod and excavated to the desired depth. Make sure to remove the turf from the soil. We didn't, and this came back to haunt us when we began building the berms that border the rain garden. The sod is difficult to separate from the soil and adds extra labor when forming the berm. Berms. Using shovels and rakes, we formed the berms. A board and level were used throughout the process to check on the level of the berms from front to back and side to side. After the major excavation of the soil from the rain garden area, the bottom of the rain garden was then formed. Again, levels were used continuously to ensure that the bottom was level from front to back and side to side. The berms were compacted using our big feet. Jennifer is not allowed to perform compaction duties on the berm because she doesn't provide enough PSI for adequate compaction. French drain. We decided to add a French drain to the bottom of the rain garden as an extra safety precaution due to the variability of the soils in the area. A square hole was dug beneath the rain garden to a depth of 3 feet and then filled with clean pea gravel. Bottom preparation. A rototiller was used to loosen any soil that may have been compacted during construction. Amended soil. An amended soil mix that contained 50% sand and 50% compost was added to the rain garden. A skid loader was used to mix the amended soil on site and placed in the rain garden. The soil was spread by hand with great care taken during this process to minimize any compaction. Boards were placed in the garden to support us as we raked the bottom of the rain garden. Working from the top of the berms, rakes were used to evenly distribute the amended soil throughout the rain garden. During this process, the levelness of the bottom of the rain garden was checked often. Stakes were used to mark the depth of amended soil needed to maintain the design ponding depth of 6 inches. An additional 2 inches of amended soil was added to address settling. It was observed after several rainfall events following construction that settling did occur and the added amended soil provided adequate ponding depth. Pavers were placed in the bottom of the rain garden to be used as stepping stones during rain garden maintenance. Connecting the downspout. The next step is to connect downspouts to the rain garden to create a supply of water. A shallow trench was dug from the downspout to the rain garden. Then, a non-perforated corrugated plastic pipe was placed in the trench, connected to the downspout and emptying into the rain garden. The trench is backfilled with soil and covered with sod removed during the excavation of the rain garden. The outlet was fitted with a slotted cover to prevent any varmints from moving up the tile. Pea gravel was placed at the outlet to prevent any erosion. Planting time. Mulch was added to the rain garden prior to planting. Spreading mulch before planting has proved to be easier than placing mulch after planting, especially when smaller plugs are used. A wide selection of plants was chosen for this rain garden to test their success. Plant species were clumped together rather than spread throughout the rain garden to more easily evaluate the performance of each species. Both plugs and larger plants were used to balance the budget and create visual aesthetics featuring sprays or blocks of color. The downspout was disconnected from the rain garden for several weeks to allow the plants to acclimate and prevent floating mulch from burying the smaller plugs. The berms were seeded with oats as a temporary seeding due to the late season completion of the project. They will be permanently seeded with blue grama grass. Watering. Ironically, a dry spell occurred as we created this rain garden, so the plants were watered to encourage growth. The plants flourished beautifully prior to the first frost. The rain garden drained as designed following several significant rainfall events.